On the bottom,
Found it.
under share screen, there's a button that
Perfect.
says
Okay.
record.
All right, so I don't want to waste too much time because I know some of you guys were talking about how you need to get to class or get on another Zoom at noon, which I know how that goes. It is a Tuesday still, so I don't want to kind of get in too much of the way, but just kind of on behalf of Cal Republic and all the athletes and coaches, welcome Maggie to our group. As you can see, we've got 25. I'm sure quite a few more will jump on.
Nice.
But Maggie, I'm sure you've done this before. I've never done something kind of like this, so I don't really know how to really expect this.
That's
I do have a couple
nowadays.
girls I know that have some questions they definitely want to ask, and maybe we just kind of go from there.
Cool.
And so I guess I'll get out of the way without further ado. I know Kelly, real quick. I just want to shout out Kelly for getting the ball rolling on this through Instagram.
Yeah, I see her. Nice, Kelly.
So Kelly, I want you to jump on here first and kind of share. This is an opportunity for all of us. Just real quick, let me kind of preface. I don't want anyone to be shy. I'm going to mute everyone, but don't, kind of think of that as me kind of wanting you to shut up. I want everyone to speak up and ask any questions you have. I'm sure some of you have questions that other people will already ask in front of you, which is okay. But we'll try to get to as many as we can. I've got about 4 or 5 people that I'm going to call on. But if you want to ask a question, I don't really know, maybe Maggie, if you've done this before, what the best way, maybe somebody wants to shoot me a message on the group chat and I can call on you, or just jump in one after another. So let me just kind of get out of the way and let Kelly go first. Kelly, you want to jump on here?
Oh, Kelly, you got to unmute.
Yeah, sorry, Kelly, I just muted everybody.
What's your favorite thing to do before a game?
Ooh, I would say for me, one of my favorite things is just connecting with my teammates. That's really important for me. And so everyone gets ready for games very differently. I'm sure you guys have noticed that. Like, some people like to listen to their headphones and not talk at all. Some people, like to talk water polo or talk strategy. And some people, want to be super social and fun. So for me, I like to connect in all those different ways. So like if I have a teammate that likes a certain type of music and they like to be in the zone, sometimes just like a high five with them, on the bus or in the car or something. Or if somebody likes to talk water polo and strategy, I'll, take some time to just talk about a 5-on-6 that we're working on, or what we like, a scouting note. But then for sure, my favorite is I like to dance and like get loose before games. So I think of Ashley Johnson right away. We're usually dancing before games. So those would be my things I do.
Natalie Wilcox.
Okay. How do you maintain your confidence when you have moments of doubt with you or your team?
Yeah. So that's something that, it's not a secret recipe that you're going to gain overnight. That's definitely something that you have to work at. And I'm still doing that today. I mean, I have times where I'm super doubtful, or I'm nervous, or I'm questioning myself, right? That's human nature. The importance is, can you recognize when you have that doubt, and can you kind of almost create your own personal system of, maybe can you change the mind frame from doubt to, okay, here's a possible outcome. Now, how can I prepare for if that does happen? Right? So for me, something that I've done over time is, can I almost prepare for the worst in a sense before it ever happens? So to put it in like a very, simple context, let's say you normally get doubt when you have to shoot the ball or something, right? So leading up to games, when you're in practice, can you mentally imagine that you're in that moment? So let's say, and it can be super specific. This is how I practice, like if I'm shooting at 2 in warm up, and I usually get really nervous when I have like a big shot blocker and I have to shoot like a lob or something. Can I almost mentally picture that in warm up and like get nervous, feel doubtful, and try to overcome that in practice? Right? Because then if I can do it a ton of times, repetition, like imagination, by the time a game comes, it's like, oh, I got this, right? And so you can build confidence over time by just that repetition and training, and not just physically, right? Like mentally put yourself in game situations and practice. Or at home, like before you go to bed, a lot of times before big games, I visualize a lot, right? And that helps me feel a bit more calm in moments of doubt. So that's a personal way to handle it. And then don't forget, you have teammates, right? So that's what a team is for. And you're not always going to be great. That's just, maybe you will, and that's amazing, but you're going to have off days. You're going to have days where you're not as confident. And that's when it's okay to have your teammates help you, or maybe they need to give you confidence. Like, hey, Natalie, this is your best shot. Like, do it, or you're like, I'm going to do whatever I can to help them out and give them confidence, right? A lot of times giving people something helps you gain it as well. Does that make sense? Like, I'm sure you guys have felt if you do like, if you guys like do a random act of kindness, all of a sudden you feel a lot better, right? You're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel good. I feel happy, right? So if you can give confidence to others, that also might help your confidence as well.
Maggie, can I build on that or just ask another question? You mentioned
Sure.
visualization. Like, I know, we hear that a lot and coaches talk about that and athletes, like it's important to visualize yourself and what you're about to do. Can you talk about though, like what exactly do you visualize and what is it like, what are you thinking about? And like, what is that process actually like,
Yeah. It's, to be honest, it's kind of all over the place. I think about, especially like for me, I remember during the Olympics, I'd be laying in our bed in the village and I'd be trying to nap and I just couldn't, my mind was just replaying every bad situation that could happen. And then also every good situation that could happen and also how I could handle that. And so it's funny, like as I'm visualizing, it's like even something as simple as like, okay, I'm guarding this girl from Hungary. She's probably going to drive. So I imagine like she's at 2. Like you can even see me thinking of it right now. Like try to go through what like little details you might do. And then even like throw in something fun in there. Like sometimes I'm visualizing and I'm like thinking in my head, ooh, bad pass. I stole it. Like I'm up on the counter. And then all of a sudden I start to get nervous. Like I literally am in bed, not playing water polo. And all of a sudden I'm getting nervous. Right. And then it's like almost training my body to realize, okay, you're nervous already. So how are you going to handle it? So in my visualization, I can score a goal while I'm nervous. So then when a game happens, it's like, oh, I've already kind of practiced this without it ever happening. Right.
No, that's really cool. I didn't even think about, kind of visualizing or visualizing while you're nervous, and then going through that and being able to do it while you're nervous in your room. All right, I'm going to get out of the way again. Allie Ainsworth, you're up, if you're there.
Okay. So when and why did you start playing polo?
I found you. I had to go to the next page. So I started playing when I was 8. I was really young. So I've been playing for a while now, probably longer than most of you have been alive. And I played all the sports in the books. I did basketball, soccer, gymnastics, swimming, dance. Like I literally did everything. And my dad's a water polo player and I was kind of around it a lot. So I was familiar with the idea of it, but there was no club team where I was at the time. And for girls either, nowadays there's splash ball 12 and under, 14 and under. So once Diablo Club was where I played, which is in NorCal. At 8, Maureen O'Toole, who was part of the first ever Olympic women's water polo team, and they won a silver medal. She became our coach. And so that was like, how lucky am I? I got an Olympic woman, like a pioneer in our sport as a coach. So, the stars aligned for me there. And I kind of just fell in love with it. It was a perfect combination of all the sports I had been playing at the time. And as you guys know, water polo is a very family community type sport. So it just fit really well with, my values and still playing. So.
All right, I got Bella and then Amy, but if there's anyone else that wants to kind of get on the list, I guess, just you can shoot me a message, or after Amy goes, somebody else just jump on there. I'm looking at like, I don't know, Maya or Abby or anybody else that wants to get on there, and Alina, Ashley. So, but let's go to Bella.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so my question was, what was like your training routine when you were our age, if you remember? Like,
Okay. So what's your guys' age range here?
like high school around like, I would say 15 to like 17.
Yeah, everyone in here is 8th grade to high school for sure.
Okay, cool.
Or maybe a little younger.
So I'm going to give you guys perspective of where I was in terms of what teams I was playing for. And then I'm going to give you my schedule because yours will probably look a little less crazy than mine, but it's important to think of perspective, right? So when I was 15, I was invited to play with the senior national team. And I was really nervous, obviously not experienced on that level at all. And I was invited to play in the summer going into my junior year, or the fall going into my junior year. And then junior summer, so after my junior year of high school, was going to be my first like official year, like big tournaments with the senior team. So during my junior year of high school, I needed to improve exponentially in order to meet my goal, in order to even like somehow keep up with Brenda Villa, Cammie Craig, right? So high school for me was a lot of, and I don't know how I used to do this. You guys have the energy and motivation now. So please, what I tell you guys, if you have that, like go do it. Because now I look back, I'm like, how in the world did I do this schedule? You guys are superheroes in high school, trust me. So I used to get up early around 5 and go, either we had swim practice or I would go swim by myself, which, as you guys know, swimming by yourself is really difficult. So for me, that was a really big moment of just mental toughness and developing that. So I would go swim by myself in the mornings. And come back. Then I would go to school, and our school was from 8 to 3. And so, yeah, I was at school. Academics is really important to me. And so whenever I had free time, I was especially during school, like I would be working on homework or studying. And then after school, we usually would have water polo practice, depending on the season, or swim practice. So I would go to that, which is about 2 to 3 hours. And then usually after that practice that was associated with high school, I would go play with whatever club was available. So if Diablo was playing, like if we were in season, I would play with Diablo for about 2 hours, and then I would play up. So I would do 2 more practices. So I would play at my age group, and then I would play at least one age group up. And then twice a week, I would go play with the men's community college team, because they would scrimmage twice a week at night. So that would be at 8 p.m. because in college, like you don't really have free time till 8. And so I would scrimmage. I was a 15-year-old little girl scrimmaging with these huge men, because a lot of community college have like older guys from Europe. And that was probably, one of the best things I ever did was playing with those guys, because it was really scary at first. And also they didn't respect me, right? I was a 15-year-old, like little girl. And so for me, I had to earn their respect, and that helped me become a better player. I also learned a lot from them. They're bigger, better, stronger than me. And I always advise, like when I tell you girls, like always play up. Like in practice, play up. Play against boys, because that's what's going to make you better, right? If you can fail every day because you're playing against someone who's stronger, faster, longer, smarter than you, you're getting better, even if you're failing, right? Because then when you come back, you've learned so many things. You've learned how to work against somebody who's bigger than you, right? And so then, like Natalie, that's going to help you gain confidence when you're playing against people probably your own size, right? Because now you're like, oh my gosh, I got this, right? And then I did like weightlifting on my own. So I would go to my parents' gym, like whatever their club gym that they're a part of, and I'd go lift and swim there. So in the mornings I would get like my circuit in, and somehow still did my homework and hang out with friends and be in leadership and do all those crazy things. So
Maggie, I'm gonna ask you, like, how did
really
you find time to like fit all that in with, like, because you went to Stanford? It sounds like you're really busy. but like
I
what
was really
sacrifices
busy.
did you have to make sacrifices, and what
Yeah.
sacrifices did you have to make? You know?
Yeah, so I was really busy, but I also was really good at time management. So like I said, I would get up at 5, right? And so a lot of times I'd get my workout in right away. And then a lot of times I would have, after I worked out, I would have like 45 minutes before school started. And I would use that time to like finish, get ahead of my homework, not finish it, but get ahead and study to like prep for school. So I found time, or like on my way to practice when I couldn't drive, like I was studying in the car, right? So I would use time management really well. I had a planner, right? And so I would say time management, and just try to plan things out and utilize your time. So if you have 45 minutes before school after you've done a workout, use that time wisely. Don't like just scroll on Instagram. And then I would say, which I didn't have, so that's a lot easier to say. And then I would say second is just prioritize. So have your goals. Like for me, that was a really hard time in my life. I was really busy, and, I really wanted to try to make the Olympic team, and it was going to be a long shot. And so I had to put, 300% of myself into everything I did. And so what I did is I put my favorite quotes and I put my goals up on my bathroom mirror. So I had a picture of the Stanford S and a picture of the Olympic rings, and then all my favorite quotes on my bathroom mirror. So at like 5 a.m. when I didn't want to go swim, or at night when I really didn't want to study or do my homework or do a project, it was kind of like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. This is a good reminder. Because we're not superheroes. Like, we need help, right? So sometimes I would help myself with those goals and reminders of who I want to be. And then my third thing would be just have a good support team around you. So my family believed in me going to the Olympics. They believed in me getting to Stanford. And so they were willing to, they supported my goals. They weren't distracting me from them, right? And they also challenged me. They'd be like, Maggie, like my sister, I remember, not even the one who went to the Olympics. My sister would be like, Maggie, shouldn't you be like working out right now? And I would be like, oh shoot, yeah, right? So having people who can challenge you and support you. And then my friends were awesome. Like, they all were super ambitious people, and they wanted to do well in school. They wanted to go to good colleges. They, weren't party people, right? So for me in high school, I surrounded myself with a really good support network that had similar values to me. So I wasn't getting like distracted, right? Because to me, friendship and having a good time, like as you guys can tell, I love that. So it wasn't like I was school, water polo, I can't have fun. Like, I was in leadership. I went to all the sporting events. Like, I was decked out in like paint on my face. That was me, I was all about it. So just knowing how to prioritize, and, if you're going to hang out with your friends and have a good time, you do that. But know that be surrounded by people who understand that if you can't hang out with them tomorrow, it's because you're trying to achieve something amazing, like going to a good college, right? So I didn't go to my high school graduation, as I'm sure some of you might experience. I didn't get to go to like a bunch of formals and weekend events, right? I missed most of my senior year of high school, so I can relate to a lot of you guys. But what was cool was that I knew I had my why, I had my purpose. So it was easy to like kind of be sad in the moment that I missed on a lot. And then I was like, wait, what? Like, I'm trying to go to the Olympics and go to Stanford. Like, that's weird thing on Saturday. I'm totally good to not go to that, So just having that purpose in your head is really helpful.
No, that's awesome. I'm gonna go. Let's see. We have Amy, and then Amaya, and then I know Alina jumped on here. So those three, and then anyone else that wants to go after that, let me know. But Amy, are you there? And again, if someone like asked your question already and you want to kind of move forward, that's okay too. But Amy, if you're there.
Yeah, somebody already asked my question.
Okay, no worries.
Amy's on our 12 and under team, Maggie.
Love it.
Yep.
You go, girl.
And then Amaya, go ahead, jump on there, Amaya.
Amy, I hope you're playing with the 14 unders and 16 unders.
I just wanted to ask if you had like any specific game or like any game you've played and if that's your favorite and why.
Ooh, I have a lot of favorites just because I think it doesn't necessarily have to be your best game to be a favorite. I think like some favorites I have were when I was a kid in club, and I loved club because those were like my best friends. So some of those games I would say were my favorites just because I remember like having dance parties before to get all pumped up, and then like in the middle of the game, it's just you're with your best friends, you know? So I loved club. And thinking back to like some JOs or random tournaments, just like hanging out in the hotel room and doing pranks and having a good time, like loved that. And then I would say just on the higher level, you know, I have some games at Stanford that I loved because of what it meant. So, you know, obviously winning a national championship, whether or not I played well or not, you do it as a team, right? So I could have my best game or my worst game, but knowing that our team accomplished our goal for like this greater purpose is such an amazing feeling. So any game like that to me is one of my favorites. And then I would say atmosphere. So I got to play in Europe the past couple of years, and, you know, World Championships was in Budapest, Hungary a few years ago, which is literally, you guys, like in Hungary, water polo is everything. It's like football and baseball here. It's like unreal. So to play there, play a World Championship game, we had like 20,000 fans and like drums, and it was crazy. And so that was one of my favorite games just because it felt, you know, important, and it was really fun to play in front of a big crowd. And then obviously I would say probably getting to play with Jess, my oldest sister, at the Olympics. The first game and the last game, just because the first game it was kind of like, okay, we're finally here, we get to play together. And then the last game because we won gold together. So I would say those were my favorites.
I want to like just add to that or ask another question on that. We did like a homework assignment like 3 weeks ago, kind of through Zoom, where I asked the girls to watch 2012 London semifinals. And
that's one of my favorite games.
Yeah, so I was like, I've just been dying to hear like someone's perspective who was in the water and like what that whole thing, because I mean, I know you guys hadn't won a gold medal up until that point, right? And we've lost to Italy 4 years earlier. And it was just, we were, the homework assignment, I guess preface it with the homework assignment was watch the last end of regulation and figure out what happened and did the referees make the right call. And it was kind of funny because no one got the answer correct, right? Everyone said, Maggie got a bloody nose and the ref called the kick out and then they turned it to a 5 meter and we don't know what happened. So
that's what was going through my head too, guys. I was like, what?
Yeah. Maybe you can tell us like your perspective and like maybe, and what did your coach say right after? And then going into overtime, what was like the feeling? So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that I would say that was actually one of my favorite games just because it was like, it was so perfect for our team. We had overcome so much adversity as a team. And so to play in a game where, I mean, we had to go into overtime with this crazy call just to get to the gold medal game. And that was one of my best games I've played. So that was definitely one of my favorites. But so what happened, and this actually happened 2 or 3 years later when I was at Stanford, it's the right call, 100%. They made the right call, but a hard call to make at the Olympics is Betsy, our goalie, made a block and no one had possession of the ball. I was swimming towards it. That's when I got a bloody nose because Josh Southern elbowed me. So no one had possession of the ball, and Adam called a timeout. Right. So you can't call a timeout if you don't have the ball. And that actually happened at Stanford to win the national championship. UCLA, Sammy Hill made a block. It went out. I started swimming towards it, and another UCLA girl started swimming towards it, and UCLA called a timeout. And no one has possession of the ball, so it's a 5 meter, right? So kind of crazy with 1 second.
Like this long, like minute delay where the refs are talking and like, did you guys know what was? We
actually had no idea the call until it was done. I thought like everyone thought it was their fault. Like I thought it was my fault. And I was like, why is it my fault? Like I literally just got elbowed in the face. Like what, how is this a 5 meter? And everyone was just kind of like, what's going on? But we were trying to stay really present. Like, okay, all we need is one stop. We're up by 1.
Right.
We just need one stop, 1 second. Like, so we didn't think about it too much. Right. And then once it happened, it kind of felt like the world was against us because we didn't understand the call. So it wasn't like we knew that was happening. So once the call was made, it was kind of like, all right, fine. Like you guys want to test us? Like we took it as a challenge. And we had not fully a year before, we had been in a situation with Canada where they also got a 5 meter call with like 3 seconds left to actually win the Pan American Games, and Betsy ended up blocking it. So we had almost already been in that situation, a little different, but pretty similar. And so in our heads, once it had to go to overtime, it was like, okay, you guys, we've been here before. Adam didn't say anything, actually.
Yeah, so there's no like people down in the huddle. You guys
No, not at all. So Adam didn't say anything. If you watch the video, he wasn't in our huddle. So he was at the bench and he knew it was his fault. So I'm sure he was feeling, guilty.
That's tough, right?
And it was actually really cool because as women, we were like, we didn't care. We were like, this is our team, right? And we are going to take ownership of this. And like, everybody was just like, we've got this. Like, they have no idea what's coming for them. Like, this is ours. So it was all determination. It was all support. And it was all kind of like, guys, we've been through this. Like, we've been through harder. So like, we can do this. And I think that's a really good message. Like when you guys get in those experiences, try to create them before, right? Because you can gain that confidence and take ownership of your team. Like sometimes your coach isn't there and you guys are the ones in the water. So what's most important is that you guys as leaders, and it wasn't like just Brenda Villa talking, right? Like I said something in the huddle. My sister said something in the huddle. Courtney Mathewson said something. So all of us were leaders in that moment, which was really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. All right. I know we got a couple more. I don't know how much, too much time we got left, but we'll go to Amaya and then, Alina, right? You got one. And if anybody else wants to jump on, Didi. Okay. After Alina, we'll go to Didi. Okay.
Oh.
So I was just wondering one way that you'd kind of deal with a new situation that you've never seen before in a game. Like if you're playing against a new team and they do something, like how would you react?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a lot of situations that happens, especially against our team, because people just want to try different things. I think for me, the first thing, I love problem solving, and water polo to me is kind of like a puzzle. And so for me, right away, when a team does something new, I am just trying to almost like read what they're doing, right? And even just the smallest thing, like, is there, are their hips in a certain position? Is there one person on defense leading it? Where is the open space? You guys should watch my talk I gave for our 6-8 sports conference on spatial awareness. So that's usually when I see something new on offense or defense, I'm looking for where's the open space and how can we attack that to maybe like figure out what they're doing. So to me, it's all about problem solving, and try not to take it as scary. Just think of it as like a puzzle, right? Like a puzzle, I don't know if you guys do puzzles, right? But like if you get a 1,000-piece puzzle, it can seem really scary. But once you kind of get your pieces in line, you get your edges, right? You like align the similar colors. It's not that, it's kind of fun, right? So try to think of it more like that, like break it down into really small little pieces. So whether you're on offense and maybe they're doing a different type of M or a different type of zone, don't think of it as this big scary thing. Look at little parts of it. And then slowly but surely it'll kind of start to come together. And if you approach it like that, it's a lot simpler to break down. And always look for open space. You guys, water polo is all about space. So if you try to find the space, you're going to be able to break down that defense or offense. And then more minds are better than one. So you have teammates to help you. If you guys watch me play, I am talking at all times. Like, this is what I tell kids at my camps. It's just like the TSA at the airport. Like, if you see something, you say something. And it's so simple. So like if you see, you know, X1 is totally zoned off, right, and not paying attention to 1, you say, look at 1, or X1 is off, right? You just you say what you're seeing. And then since you're saying it, now somebody else's mind is helping you problem solve that new situation. Does that make sense? So then you can use each other to kind of talk about it. So a lot of times at quarter breaks, like me and Kylie Newsel are constantly problem solving together. So it's like, hey, did you see them doing this? Like, what should we do here? What do you think? What do you see? And so at quarter breaks, you know, the coach can help, but they're not the ones in the water. So use your teammates to help you see kind of how you can, you know, break down something new. Does that help? Cool.
Awesome. Thank you. I think 4 more people jumped on real quick. So we'll go to Dee Dee and then Kaylee, Ashley, and Kate. Okay.
Hi. So I was just wondering what's one of your favorite college like memories or experience, either like playing water polo or just college in general?
Water polo wise, we won at home and we had an insane crowd, like the most people at a Stanford game I'd ever had. Like you couldn't see anything, and that was so cool. So winning at home, and then my last year, just coming back from the Olympics, and after 2012, I didn't have a great college season. And so when I came back from 2016, I was like really determined to show that people can be good after the Olympics. Because what happens, I'm sure as you guys have seen or ever talked, like after the Olympics, it's really hard to play any sport. Like if you read any books, you know, like they talk about that all the time. And so 2017 was really cool for me to be like, kind of prove that we can still be badass athletes after the Olympics. But then as a school, like outside of the pool, I'm like such a nerd. So I loved my classes. I majored and then ended up getting my master's at Stanford in like a product design type major. So about entrepreneurship. And like at Stanford, they're so good at all the design thinking and, you know, like teamwork type activities when it comes to building a business and like designing a cool product or designing a cool business. So, I mean, on a very nerdy side, I totally loved that, like was all about it. And then it's just fun. Like you make so many new friends. And so I think for me, just the new friendships I made and, you know, going and having like random picnics with my teammates on the grass or, you know, little memories like that for sure.
All right, let's go to, we got, I think 3 more, right? Kaylee, Ashley, and then Kate.
All right. Hi, how have you and your team been dealing with like the Olympics being postponed and like how's that like changed your training?
Yeah. So it's changed our training a lot. We usually train 7 hours a day together. And obviously now we're at home and not in a pool. So, I mean, just very bluntly, it's completely changed our training. At first, it was really hard to accept and it was really emotional. I was sad. I was confused. I was angry, you know, scared. So I was feeling a lot of emotions, but like what's really important is that I felt them. Like so many people push that away. It wasn't like that happened and I was like, oh, I'm a happy butterfly. All is great. No, like you need to be honest with yourself, and especially as women, you need to feel those emotions, and that helps you accept things later. You know, it helps you see things in better perspective than kind of pushing them away. So for me, I accepted all the emotions I had right away and accepted the emotions of my teammates. Like we all handled that differently because we're all different people. So it was a really cool time of respect. Like everyone on our team just respected one another and how, you know, we were all being affected by it. But then slowly but surely, right, like I talked about, because we kind of felt all those things, we were able to accept it. And it was like, okay, like this is the best thing to do. This is the smartest thing to do. Now I've felt all of those feelings. Now I can move on, right? Now I can take action steps to, you know, how can I choose to make the most out of this opportunity? And so that's kind of how we've taken it. So I'm like running a lot and biking, and I'm still working out. I'm still, if I can play with a water polo ball, I'm playing with a water polo ball, right? So still working out as much as possible and connecting with my teammates. That's really important. But yeah, just, now that we've accepted it, it's your choice on how you treat this situation. So I think that's definitely would be my message to you guys, and kind of what I've been doing is, right, another door open. So for example, I've now had the time to work on weaknesses that I didn't have the time to work on, right? Or now I have a company, 6-8 Sports, with Tony Azevedo, that I never, during full-time training, I didn't have time to work on it, right? And now I have a full-time job again working with that. So, or reading Spanish books again. So trying to find other things as well that fuel your passions, because now the Olympics are a year away. So we're not in the height of season. We're more in that back to, building stage, which is okay,
A couple of us coaches had tickets to go to Japan, so we're bummed. We were going to come watch.
My whole I felt bad. I honestly felt bad for like my boyfriend, my friends, my family, who were all planning on going, just because it's so expensive. And then I was like, wait, this isn't my fault. Like, I don't have to feel bad.
All right, we got one more. I think Kate McGarty, or did Ashley? Do you get in there already? Yeah. So Kate. Or I don't know, Ashley, Kate. Ashley, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Have you ever had like a major injury or like a major setback, and like how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I've had a few. Luckily, nothing crazy, knock on wood. So I've been dealing with shoulder injuries for probably the past 12 years. Luckily, I've not had to get surgery because, one, I don't want to. It's not worth it right now in my career. So I'm constantly dealing with that. I'm in pain a lot of times, and like swimming, anything overhead for me is really difficult, which as a water polo sport is not very fun. So that means a lot of treatment, a lot of rehab, a lot of PT. And I wish that I had been better when I was younger. Like, I wish that I had done more shoulder exercises or gotten and seen more treatment and acknowledged that injury early on. So if you guys have anything, treat it like a professional would. Just because you're 16 doesn't mean you don't have to be a professional about your injuries. So definitely dealing with shoulder problems at all times. And that's a mental struggle every day. But for me, I know it makes me stronger, because I know I'm not just dealing with physical pain when it's a hard swim set or a water polo, circuit day, or maybe I'm scrimmaging, it just hurts to throw. But I know that I'm mentally getting stronger because I'm pushing myself past my limits a lot of times. So that gives me that confidence later on, and making sure to take care of it on the recovery side is really important so I can keep playing. And then unfortunately in 2017, I had an ovarian cyst, and that was really painful. And I was unable to play for a month leading into the World Championships, and I missed our first game. And that was probably one of the most painful experiences of my life, and scary too. And I couldn't play. So I literally didn't play water polo leading into the biggest tournament of the summer. And so I ended up playing that. We ended up winning World Championships. And so I had to really rely on my fundamentals, my experiences from before, and not necessarily, usually you feel really confident from your prep, right? But I didn't have that, at least for a month. So that was a scary time, but for sure, I just relied on my experience. I relied on my teammates during that. And when I was injured during that time, I just kept doing what I could to make sure I'd be ready when, my body would allow it.
All right, goalie, jump in there.
Yeah, so I'm a goalie, and I was wondering, what are some of the things that goalies have done that make it really difficult to score?
I would say make sure you're scouting your team, your competitors. Some of the best goalies maybe aren't the most athletic or like the longest, but they're the smartest, right? So can you start to look at other teams, like what are their tendencies, know your own teammates. Like, for example, I block a certain way. So I bait people when I block. And my goalie, Ashley, trusts me, right? And so as a goalie too, like learning what the strengths and weaknesses of your blockers are is really important. So almost scouting your own team, right? And know like, okay, this girl, she's not very good at blocking a wrap, but she's really good over her head. So I'm going to position myself more to block a wrap. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me as a shooter, I've realized that over time, the goalies that can adapt really well to their own team and to what the other team is doing in an intelligence spectrum makes it really hard. So I would definitely say that. And yeah, like don't be afraid to take chances. That's like honestly one of the things that Ashley Johnson, for example, I mean, she's the best in the world, so you can't compare. And she's obviously athletically amazing and talented, but she takes chances. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But as a field player, you know, a lot of teams are scared of her because she takes chances and they don't know if it's going to work or not, right? So kind of play around with what you can do with that too. I think that's a cool thing goalies do. Think about the Hungarian goalie. She's crazy, but, you know, she takes a lot of chances. So it's like, as a shooter, it makes you double think. You're like, is she going to do that jump thing that she does? Even though the goal is like wide open, right? So you don't have to be crazy about it, but see about, you know, find your own little identity as a goalie.
Maggie, you've given us so much of your time, so I want to say thank you. But real quick, before we're just done, does anyone want to jump on and ask a quick question here? I got one little like kind of funny thing I want to end on here that's coaches have, but if anyone wants to do a quick question, no? Okay, so the coaches came up with these like questions, like one word answer questions.
Malia, can I ask something?
Yeah, go ahead, go.
Okay, so as other teams have like played you and like realized like what you do, like what else changes are you making like to keep staying on top and like being the best?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of teams know that I like to, like, I'm someone who gives a lot of live entries. And so a lot of teams now play me, you know, higher in the lane, for example. And so one thing that I've done then, it was like, all right, fine, you're going to give me the drive game. Like, give me the drive game. Cool. You know, so I think that's really important is if other people want to counteract your move, can you counteract theirs? Right? So don't let them take it away. And now you're like, oh no, I have nothing else. If they're scouting you and counteracting something that you do, that's going to open up another door to another opportunity, right? So if you get really good at a certain shot, now probably people are going to block or move to that side of the goal. Now the other side's open, you know? So like, don't think of it as a blockade, think of it as a new opportunity. And that's kind of how I've thought of it. And it's helped me adapt my game, especially on the intelligence spectrum. I mean, I'm a much different player than I was and that I need to be, because we also have players, you know, who played my position like I did 8 years ago. And so now can I kind of fill a different role on the team. So your role is constantly changing. The way you play is constantly changing, but as long as you're getting better and knowing that's okay and like seeing new opportunities, right? I mean, you think of the drive one, that's so simple. Like if I release all the time and give live entries, they get in the passing lane. Now I have a clear driving lane to the goal. Like that's way better. Like, sure, I'll go on the drive and score a goal. Sounds fun. So try to think of it like that. And that's what I try to do, at least.
Nice job, Malia. Thanks.
Really quick.
Okay, so.
Oh, I hear another one.
Sorry,
and then we'll go.
Okay, so how did you feel like representing the USA, and like what did it feel like after you won the gold? Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm always wearing USA stuff. So I am very, like, if you ask anyone on my team, I am very proud to represent the USA. I think it's the greatest honor you can have. And I mean, it's such a gift. So to me, that's been amazing. And there's nothing like hearing your anthem after you've just gone through hell and back with like your girlfriends, with your teammates, right? And so that moment for me, standing on the podium and hearing your anthem and like knowing you've put your whole self into something that's bigger than you, bigger than you, right? It is such an amazing feeling. So if you guys get the opportunity to ever wear, you know, it's funny, now when I wear USA stuff, it's not like I just put it on. Like I put it on and it's like, I feel like there's a responsibility with that, right? You need to represent the red, white, and blue to the best of your ability. So if you don't feel like you can represent it that day, I don't put it on. You know, like to me, it's an honor. So hopefully you guys have the chance to get that feeling. And you really do. I mean, every day you play, you're representing this country. You don't have to be on the national team to be doing that, right? So I love it. I mean, I'm like such a USA fan. I'm all about it.
All right, I'm going to end on this one real quick with you, Maggie. There's like 15 quick hitters, okay? This is like on the hot seat, okay? You just answer real fast and we'll see, okay? Your favorite color?
Red.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Playing polo in the sun or in the rain?
Sun. Well, both.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Defense. What's your favorite meal?
Ooh, like a homemade Puerto Rican meal from my parents.
I'm Puerto Rican. All right. Favorite snack to binge on?
Somebody asked me this the other day. I've been really liking like sliced bell peppers and hummus. That's like been my go-to.
All right, I'm almost halfway done. These are getting harder. Okay. Your favorite artist you're listening to right now?
Everyone on my team knows I love Maroon 5. So Maroon 5.
Okay.
Or like
favorite pregame song? Maroon 5?
No, usually like it'll be a Latin, like a reggaeton song or something. Anytime there's Spanish on our playlist, everyone's like, Maggie. I'm like, I mean, it's good.
There you go. Favorite swimsuit brand?
Tier.
Okay. Is that because you're paid to say that?
They're my sponsor. I do really like them. I have like 12 of their suits upstairs. They just came out with such a cool USA suit. And I can't wait to wear it again. I like love anything USA. So I obviously got all of them.
All right. Favorite teammate?
No, you can't do that.
All of them?
All of them.
So do you have a favorite coach?
My sister was my coach one time.
Okay. I got 2 more. Okay. Favorite pool to play in?
Ooh, Stanford.
Your favorite dry land or weight room activity? What do you like to do in the weight room?
Legs are really important to me. So I would say like squats or something.
Squats. All right. Last 2. These are the most important. Rainbows or Birkenstocks?
Now Birkenstocks. Like 8 years ago, rainbows.
Crocs or no Crocs?
Oh, no Crocs.
All right.
But Ashley Johnson likes them. So I like when she wears them.
All right, that's all I got. Maggie, this has been awesome. Thank you for all the insights, the experiences.
Of course.
It's cool to hear that you're just like a normal person, just like all of us, you know. And
very much so.
Sometimes, yes. So, but thanks for hopefully we take a lot of this away. You know, writing your goals on the mirror was something I thought was really cool, and just seeing that, knowing that we all go through struggles too, and so I appreciate that. And I think one last thing I wanted to touch on, you mentioned while we were emailing was you do one-on-one meetings, right? I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I'll put this in the chat too.
Okay. And I emailed that link out to everyone, Maggie, so they all have it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. So if any of you guys want to do any like one-on-one calls, you can just sign up on that. And happy to talk with you guys. It's hard in groups because you can only really ask one question. So it's just valuable, like one-on-one time, which is great. So feel free to sign up there. And yeah, this is fun. I don't mind doing this.
Thank you so much. I got nothing else. I guess wave goodbye, everybody. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, good luck in a year from now. See you.
Bye.
Bye.